Hi Astrology family, welcome back to my channel. This is your new moon in Leo forecast. So I'm gonna give you guys a general forecast, which I would highly suggest you stick around and listen to, which will help you to further decode your individual forecast for all 12 signs when you have the context of what I'm about to give you. And then after that, we'll go right into a mini forecast for all 12 zodiac signs. So my name is Yelena Crawford. If we haven't met before, welcome to my channel. I am an intuitive astrologer and I am very excited to have you guys here. So make sure you tap the subscribe button below. I do come out with forecasts every single week and highlight all of the important transits, all of the important ingresses and everything like that, especially the new moons and full moons too. So if you are interested in that type of content, make sure you tap subscribe, as well as more educational content on astrology that will be coming your way. You can also find me on Instagram, so I'll pop up my Instagram handle on the screen right now. I use the tropical Western zodiac with a mix between modern and traditional Hellenistic. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. So if you are looking on getting a personalized reading, I offer natal chart readings, solar return readings, as well as transits like year ahead forecasts and things. So if you're interested in that, you can go to my website, which is yelenacrawford.com. And if you need any additional information, I have it all in the description box for you below. But I want to go ahead and get right into this forecast. So like I said, make sure that you stick around for the general overview, which will be right now. We're leading into it. Okay, you guys, so we've got the new moon in the sign of Leo, the prideful, creative, and expressive sign of Leo. It's the performer, right? It's the person who is not afraid to go out there and lead and stand in their truth, stand in their authenticity and their power, and they shine just like the sun, right? So this is affecting all of us in that Leo area of our chart. This new moon, no, it's not just for Leos, it's for everybody. For those of you who might not be as familiar with astrology, your astrological chart, it's a big circle, right? And it's broken down into 12 pie-shaped slices, and every pie-shaped slice represents one of the 12 signs of the zodiac. So once we get into our individual forecast, I'll be able to decode that a little bit for you, right? And if you feel like this might be a significant time in your life, maybe it would be a good time to get a reading or something like that, so that we can give you individualized and specific information, because like I said, these are very general overviews and forecasts, and everybody's got planets in different areas of their chart that are being activated at different times, okay? So it's important that you have that context first. Now, this new moons are when the sun and the moon come together in the sky and they join in what's called a bodily union, right? And their energies blend and mix. But this also brings the beginning of a new cycle. And it's two cycles actually that we're bringing in. So each new moon, it coincides with a full moon that's at the end of the month, right? So there's a month cycle that's taking place. And then there's also every single new moon that is linked to a full moon 6 months later. And that's another cycle that's beginning right now. So it's pretty cool if you start to track these things in your life. I keep a moon journal, I keep a transits journal, but if you start to keep track of the goals and the projects and the different things that occur at the beginning of a new moon, and you track it 6 months later to the full moon that coincides with it, you'll start to see a lot of these things come to fruition and playing out. And then you can start to work with and plan different things in your life out with the lunar cycle. Because whatever you believe, the moon really does have a major influence on the cycles and how the things play out in our lives, right? So it's pretty cool to follow these things. Now, this new moon is on August 8th. It's at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, so you'll have to figure out what time zone that works for you guys, because I know that I have viewers from all over the world, and thank you for that so much. But this is at 16 degrees, so we're making some interesting connections and communications with some things here in the chart, okay? And I want to break that down for you. So first and foremost, we are in an opposition, which is pretty wide, okay, with the planet of Saturn. But what's really interesting here is that this new moon is actually in a square, which is kind of a stressful aspect. It brings a little bit of a tension or a pressure in our lives with the planet of Uranus. So this is activating that whole dynamic with Saturn square Uranus, which is The ongoing theme since the very beginning of the year, which is going to take us all the way through the end of this year and will be a minor influence in 2022. It won't be as intense as this year, but it'll still be present just a little bit, right? And that is between the old and the new in our lives. It's like bridging this gap in our lives, which can be kind of uncomfortable. These are in fixed signs, which means that it's stable energy. This is not energy that moves very easily, and it's hard to shake it out of complacency. You get really comfortable and you don't want to make these changes. And these are things that have probably been really solid in our lives for a very long time. Or maybe it's that you're feeling like you really do want to change, but you can't make those changes quite yet for some reason. There's something standing in your way. There's not the finances or something in place yet for you to be able to move forward, or the timeline isn't quite right yet. So it can play out in a couple different ways. We want to make sure that we look at both of those in our lives. I'm basically just giving you guys the information so you can kind of decode this and how this is playing out in your own lives, right? So you take my information and we ping off of each other, okay? So I'm just giving you guys hints. But basically, yeah, this is energy that's been fixed for a long time. And this new moon, what this is basically indicating is, yes, there's these new beginnings, which we would like to seed to manifest in this Leo area of our lives, right? But it's in a square with Uranus, which Uranus is in the superior position traditionally, which means that it is the more powerful of the two planets. And it's exerting its force onto the new moon, which means in order for these new beginnings, these new cycles, these new endeavors, new habits, new routines, whatever it is that we want to implement in our lives, there's some type of change or some type of breakthrough that needs to be had first, right? And this is what's going to be helping us. Uranus is working with us in this new 6-month cycle. Now, this Uranian area of life is where we might feel a little bit stuck, where we might feel stagnant, where we might feel like we need freedom, where we might feel like we need liberation or whatever it might be. We need to break free. And this new moon is going to help us do that. But, with a square, it doesn't come without a little bit of stress and strain and pressure. And this might push us outside of our comfort zone, right? But ultimately, we'll look back in hindsight and be like, hell yes. I'm so happy that all of that happened, right? But it's probably, for a lot of people anyways, not a change that they may have made themselves. And this is going to be really, really strong for people who are in the fixed signs. And the fixed signs include Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus. So if you have any planets and points in those fixed signs, you're probably feeling this pretty hardcore, especially if it's, I would say, anywhere from I'm just going to say very vaguely 10 degrees all the way up to 20 degrees, 21 degrees of the fixed signs, right? Because this will be either conjunct, opposing, or square your planets or points that you have there in any of the fixed signs. So yes, it's a pretty intense energy for you guys. And this Uranus energy, it's just, it's a continued theme this year. I wanted to look up a little bit of what the combined archetype of the sun, the moon, and Uranus would be. And I have a really good book that one of my teachers suggested to me, and it's called The Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler. So I just wrote down a couple things with this planetary combination. So some of the more positive things would be freedom and individuality, right? Which is a great combination, even with this Leo energy that's involved as well, especially with Uranus. And inspiration and illumination. So there's the potential for creative breakthroughs and really being inspired and shining in your brightness and who you truly are, right? If you harness and take this energy in the way that it's supposed to. So that means moving forward, taking risks that are calculated, where you're disciplined, where you're not jumping into things impulsively, right? Because this new moon, it is still opposing Saturn, right? So it's slow and methodical growth and change, right? It's moving out of the old and moving towards the new, but doing so in a way that's more responsible, where we have a solid plan. And I'm sure if you've been feeling this energy all year in some area of your life, And by now, you should have some type of game plan. It's not too late if you don't, but you definitely should, because we need to stop relying on outside structures so much. We need to stop relying on old ways of doing things, on old ways of being, on old people that we used to rely on old habits, whatever it might be for you. Things are changing, things are shifting. As you can see with the outside world, things aren't as reliable as they used to be, okay? So if maybe you're relying on an old job or something like that, and things are shaky, on shaky ground, they're not as stable as they used to be. And we need to reinvent the wheel and think of new ways of moving forward. So, doing so, though, obviously, in a planned out, strategic, and methodical way. So anyways, those are all positive things. Of course, with this dynamic and with Uranus, one obvious manifestation of this archetype is sudden and unexpected change and disruption. So that is a possibility for the next 6 months to come as well. And I think it's very telling in a mundane sense with, the big C situation and, the lockdowns. Ever since Pisces or Jupiter went back into Aquarius, we're already starting to see the numbers rise in cases, or, who knows if that's really valid, or I don't know. I'm not here to say that. I'm just here to deliver this information, but I'm already hearing about like potential lockdowns that are not lockdowns, but potential restrictions, right? That are up and coming, potential masks coming back, or there's just a lot of talk about that. And it's just pretty tried and true. Happens right at the time when Jupiter moves out of its traditional home sign of Pisces and back into Saturn sign of Aquarius, right? Those same themes that we were oh so familiar for us back in the beginning of 2020. All the way up until May when everything was lifted, right? That's when Jupiter moved into Pisces. Ultimately, with this square aspect and with Uranus involved, there could be some change. There could be some creative ways to make change. And it's pretty obvious here too, with this new moon conjuncting Mercury, which is at 23 degrees of Leo. So this could bring us some inspired ideas as to how to make these changes a potential, how to make these changes actually occur, right? So there could be some new way of understanding something, or there could be some type of shift in communication, or some type of messages that are brought in that help you to make the changes that you need to make, right? It could happen in so many different ways. So anyways, that's that. And then also I thought what was pretty interesting is the Sabian symbols. So Sabian symbols are channeled messages for each of the degrees of the zodiac. I use the Dane Rudyard ones online, and the Sabian symbol for 16 degrees of Leo was: the storm ended, all nature rejoices in brilliant sunshine. And it's all about new beginnings. So of course, it's talking about the storm ending, right? But what we need to understand with this is that it hasn't quite ended yet, and it might seem like it has at the moment, but all of us that know astrology, especially when we see this square to Uranus, is we know that there still could be some hiccups, which, as we see in the astrology of the months to come October, November, and December, we enter into eclipse season again. We got another square between Saturn and Uranus, and a lot more than that. We've got a Venus retrograde. There's a lot more to come, you guys. This year is not over, and the last portion of the year, it's quite different energy, okay? So I think we had a big glimpse into some hopeful energy for next year. And now there's still some stuff to deal with. It's like we have a chapter that needs to be closed out, and the storyline has not been completed quite yet, right? And we've got the nodes moving too. So we've got a lot of exciting things coming at the end of this year, but there's still some more work to do. And I think that this lunar cycle right here is really gonna start to push that into motion. So as much as it seems a little bit daunting, and we hate to hear that, at the same time, it's kind of exciting because it could really help to push us into those changes that we really need to make. So I think that's gonna wrap up the general forecast for right now, and I'm excited to get into the forecast for all 12 zodiac signs. So check primarily for your rising sign, and then if you would like to secondarily, you can check for your sun. We'll go ahead and get started. Aries rising, Aries sun. You're having this new moon in your 5th house, and the 5th house is all about the ways in which we express ourselves creatively. the ways in which you perform out in the world. You do the things that you love to do. It has a lot to do with your hobbies and your interests, creative talents, all of those kinds of things. It also has a significant relation to children, and also to dating and romance and those types of things. So there is this sense that there's a new that is desiring to be seated in the area of life where you're able to step more into the authenticity of who you really are based off of the things that you do out in the world to express yourself in a creative sense. So your talents are being highlighted here, and there's this desire and this drive to be able to stand in your truth and be proud of who you are and the things that you have to offer the world as an individual, right? Now, in order for you to truly move forward into this new chapter of going about doing this and working in this area of life, you're going to need to potentially, there's a need to make a change, or there's a desire to break through, or maybe you're feeling stagnant or feeling stuck in the area of your own personal finances. It could either have something to do with your money and you're wanting to do something creative out in the world, but there's not enough funds to support that, or maybe you're wanting to turn your creative pursuits or something into a business of some sort. You're just trying to think and break through and innovate some new way of how do I do this to monetize it, right? How can I bring in the funding that I need? I think that this also could have a lot to do as well with your sense of self-worth. Really, do you believe in yourself? Are you able to do this? Do you think that you can make this a possibility? Which is still highlighting the area where you might need to be a little bit more disciplined, or you might be feeling stuck or limited in some way in terms of joint finances, or in terms of maybe some debts that you have, and you're trying to figure out a way to bust through that where you can like get rid of those issues, get rid of those limitations and those blockages. But of course, that is part of the ongoing theme and the ongoing cycle of this year. But this new moon may be giving you a new outlet. Maybe it's just to enjoy yourself more. Maybe it's just to do some more of the things that you like to do. Maybe it's to give you more time spent with your children. Maybe you have a new love interest that's going to be coming in, that's going to take a little bit of the burden off of, and the stress and the tension off of what's going on here with your financial life, your financial situation. Whatever it is, this is where this new moon will be occurring for you this month. Taurus rising and Taurus sun. So this new moon in Leo is taking place for you in the 4th house. The 4th house has everything to do with home, family, property. It could have something to do with real estate. And on a totally different level, it's your ancestry. It has to do with your roots. It has a lot to do with your private life, right? Just where you go to relax, kick your feet up, get away from the world, and your own inner emotional life. So something is desiring to be seated where it can bring you a lot more joy, where you can be more of an authentic version of yourself and express yourself in your truth and really shine your light for who you truly are out in the world, and amongst your family and the people who are closest to you in your private life, right? So this is a new moon where something has the potential to kind of come to fruition and manifest in the 6 months to come. So maybe it's that you are looking to move, change your residence, sell your house. Maybe there are some dynamics happening within the family that are a little bit more stifling. Or maybe it's something in your career or something that's limiting you or holding you back in some way because you've got Saturn that's been transiting your 10th house of career. So there might be some opportunity to maybe move or have a breakthrough, and where you need to seed time to have more of a private life, right? Take more time for rest and relaxation, where you quiet down and you give yourself the much needed TLC that you need, right? So what it is also is that this new moon dynamic is squaring Uranus, which is that tense communication. It puts a little bit of pressure and anxiety and stress for change and to break free in the area of who you are as a person. So there's an aspect of you that wants to change, that wants to be new, that wants to be innovated, right? So how can you take an old version of yourself and create something new? Well, Uranus is working with you to do that. Now, this could be maybe very physical in nature. So maybe it's that you need to start exercising a little bit more, or maybe it's your own personal belief systems and the ways that you operate within relationships. And this could specifically be dynamics with family members, right? Since it is squaring the house of family. So how do you interrelate, right? Are you having a little bit of a challenging time with some type of family dynamic, or is this having to do with your career life and people in positions of authority that maybe you're needing to break free? Maybe this is an aspect of yourself that you are kind of pushing through, in order to break free and become this new and renewed version of yourself. So whatever this is for you, it's affecting your angles, which are very prominent aspects of, or very prominent points in the chart. It's who you are as a person, home and family, your roots, where you live, your career, and the relationships that you have with other people. So these are the very core elements of your natal chart that are being brought into focus for you in the next 6 months. So if you're feeling like you want to make a change and you want to really change the person that you are, maybe it's just changing the way that you operate within relationships, or the way that you see the world, and maybe the way that the world sees you, and you're going to be moving, or you're going to be changing something on the home front. You're going to be taking more time for yourself. So that is where this new moon is occurring for you. Gemini rising, Gemini sun. So hi, Gemini. Also, Gemini rising, Gemini sun. Hello. So this new moon is taking place in the third house. So the third house has a lot to do with your immediate environment, the community in which you live in, your neighborhood, and it's related to people like your immediate family and siblings and people who are always around, It also has a lot to do with our mindset and our mind and the ways in which we learn and communicate with other people and the mediums through which we do those things. There's so much that has to do with the third house. So I'm not going to break it all down, but basically this new moon is taking place there for you. So in the next 6 months, there is this potential for some newness to occur in this area of life. Now, it is making a challenging, tension-filled conversation with the planet of rebellion, of breakthroughs, and of sometimes disruptive change, Uranus, which is in your 12th house. And the 12th house can be a little bit of a challenging house too. It's our self-limiting beliefs and behaviors. It is a house of solitude. It is, it can be also the house of spirituality and things like that too. But I think that this could ultimately result in the months to come, maybe you could be making some type of decision, which is third house relevant, to let something go, to end an old cycle, to make some big release, right? Which is 12th house relative. But this could be really challenging to do. It could be very disruptive in certain ways. Maybe even because the third house is your mindset. It's the mind. It's that thinking mind, where the 12th house is our subconscious mind. So I think that this could really shake something up in a sense where we maybe work to let go of some of those subconscious blockages, limiting beliefs, ways in which you sabotage yourself that could really have a significant effect in the 6 months to come on your mind, the way in which you communicate with other people, the way in which you operate out in the world in your immediate surroundings and things like that. Maybe you learn a new skill or something like that that helps you to break free from these self-limiting beliefs. It could also be maybe you're more involved in your community, being a lot more social and out there, communicating with people on a daily basis, which helps to break you out of this feeling of being in solitude or being in hermit mode or something like that. So I think those are all ways that I see this potentially playing out. Obviously, it could play out in so many different ways, but there's a potential for new here. So if you are interested in maybe learning a new skill, or getting out there and being more involved in your community, or starting some type of new endeavor with your siblings, these are all potential possibilities that I could see for you to help you step more into who you really are authentically and express yourself in a creative way where you can really be proud of yourself out in the world, right? Cancer rising and Cancer sun. So this new moon is going to specifically affect you in the house of money and finances and self-worth and the things that you value and how you value yourself, right? So Leo is all about being prideful, being prideful, being proud of yourself, expressing yourself in an authentic way that makes you shine, right? So what is it that you really want to do to make money, right? How can you find new outlets, or what type of new revenue streams could you bring in for yourself? Is there some new way of making money or some new endeavor that you're doing out in the world that is bringing in money? Or do you have some type of new idea, right? So I think these are all things that could potentially be grown, or you can move more towards bringing in money through maybe expressing yourself creatively or using some type of gift or talent or ability that you have, right? So that's all very exciting. And I think it's to help you move away from other ways in which you may have been overly reliant on making money in the past, or overly reliant on getting money from another person, potentially maybe from a source of joint finances or from some type of institution, or reliant on some type of loan, or who knows, whatever it might have been. This could even just be a way of breaking free and creating and setting some new intentions to believe in yourself a little bit more in terms of what you have to offer the world, right? And that could be moving away from ways in which you're limited psychologically, from past traumas and stressors and conditioning that you may have been subject to in your life. Now, you may be feeling stuck or stagnant in some way in the area of friends, whatever that means for you. Maybe there's groups of friends that aren't serving you any longer, or maybe, you've already moved out of certain friends groups and you feel like you just don't quite have your tribe yet, and you're feeling alienated and not part of the group or something like that. So Uranus is kind of helping you in this area of life. Now, there is a communication somehow between this new moon and Uranus. This could also have a lot to do maybe where you're needing to think of new ways to reach these goals and hopes and dreams and ambitions, or maybe setting new goals to help you reach your financial success that you're trying to reach, or have this breakthrough in this area in the next 6 months to come. And there's a potential where you could be receiving some new ideas to do that. Or you could have some type of new understanding about the way that money works energetically that helps you to make some sort of breakthrough in this area of life. Or maybe you're getting some person is coming into your life, some type of ally, or some person that is here to help you to make money in a new way. You might be having some type of new financial opportunity come in, right? And these are just a couple ways that I see this playing out, but it looks like there may be a potential for some great things to happen, but you're probably going to have to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. You're probably going to have to face some beliefs that you have about yourself in order to really make this breakthrough. But there's a strong potential in this occurring in the future. So best of luck with that. Okay, so Leo rising and Leo moon. So if this is your birthday, Leo's, happy birthday month. I wish you guys the very best. And if your birthday is occurring around this time, even better, because that means that you're going to have a lot of new beginnings. I actually had my birthday pretty close to a new moon this year. I've already had a lot of new beginnings this year. So if that's you, you can definitely expect that. It's really exciting. But Leos, this new moon is spotlighting you. So you are the shining star, right? Whether you're a Leo new moon or a Leo moon or a Leo rising. And this is going to really shine light on how you authentically express yourself. So if you're feeling a little bit like you need to kind of reinvent yourself in some way, or you need, a little you need to spruce up your identity a little bit, you need to spruce up your look, because the first house, if this is for you, Leo rising, is all about your appearance too, your look, the way that the world perceives you. So maybe you are even wanting to do something little as maybe change your appearance in some way, change your look, reinvent yourself in some way. There's all kinds of opportunities for you to do this here. So basically what's been going on, Leos, is that you are feeling like you're embarking upon this new journey of discovering how you operate within relationships with other people and how you operate in relationships specifically to your damn self, right? That's been changing for a while now because you are being affected so hardcore by this Saturn-Uranus square that's been going on all year. It's affecting what we call the angles in your house, which is your first, your seventh, your 10th, and your fourth house, which is you, your relationships with other people, partners, spouses, or whoever it might be, close family members, friends, whatever, it could be anybody, your home life, where you live and the people that you live with, and what you're doing out in the world, your career. So there's so much changing for you. You're embarking upon a big new chapter in your life. And I'm sure you guys are all feeling this very strongly. So there could potentially be some challenges on the home front, some limitations and restrictions that have been going on that's been a significant challenge for you. But this energy is helping you to really shake things up, break free from oppression or feeling stuck in an area of your career. Okay, so maybe you feel like you need a new job or something like that. And I think in the next 6 months, it's really gonna help you to shift your identity. And even if you don't even feel like you want a new identity, maybe it's coming for you. Because obviously when we change careers, when we change the way that we're seen out in the world, when we have a shift in our relationship to people in positions of authority, maybe they help us in some way to shift something, obviously that can change who you are and the way that the world sees you, right? So even if you don't feel like you need to reinvent yourself, there is a potential for this happening, right? And that might be a little bit disruptive if you don't feel like that's something that you're interested in doing right now. But I would say just try and roll with any of the changes that are coming to the forefront. Try and be as flexible and adaptable as possible. There's a potential here for some big changes that could potentially make you feel free, right? It could bring you a sense of freedom in the future. So if you are feeling stuck in a certain area of life, this is really trying to help you. So if you're having a little insight in your mind, because I would look out for any type of new ideas or new understandings or any type of information that could come in during this time as well, since this new moon is conjunct Mercury. It's in a wide conjunction, but still definitely in a conjunction. I would definitely look out for that and start to create a plan for the next 6 months of how you could take little steps in shifting this for yourself. But I wish you guys the very best of luck because this is definitely affecting you significantly. Virgo rising and Virgo sun. So Virgos, this new moon in Leo is going to be taking place in your 12th house, which is a very interesting placement, obviously, for the new moon. The 12th house, it has a lot to do with endings of cycles, letting things go, release. It's the house of solitude, where we are away from the world to rest and reprieve and take care of ourselves, and sometimes taken away from the world against our own will, right? Because it rules like hospitals and it rules prisons and things like that, right? Institutions that are away from the world. But also the 12th house, like I said, it's just about letting things go, releasing. It's also the ways in which we sabotage ourselves, things that are not conscious to us. They're not in our conscious awareness, like they lie beneath in the subconscious realm of our mind. So there are things that stand in our way and block us from reaching our goals in life and things like that. So with the new moon here, it's always great to maybe set intentions for moving past some of those blockages and working on the subconscious ways in which we sabotage ourselves, like addictions, habits, and tendencies that kind of stand in our way, which Saturn is actually, it's been hanging out in the 6th house, which are our habits and our patterns and the things that we do to take care of ourselves and our physical health, right? That always affect our mental health as well. But with the new moon, which is setting new intentions and laying seeds into the ground to bring about something new, it could just be a really good time to set intentions to let something go, right? Which could be the ways in which you do not believe in yourself, the ways in which you are not standing in your power, standing in your independence and the authentic expression of who you really are as a person. So this could really, in the next 6 months, it could bring information up to the surface for you to see consciously that you were not previously aware of. And with this square over to Uranus in the 9th house, this could really shift the ways in which you see the world. This could, your world views and your perspectives and even your sense of morals and ethics could be affected. So this could be a major paradigm buster, paradigm shifter in some way. Also, with this 9th house, that's, rules over foreign affairs, foreign cultures, foreign travel, and things like that. You could be maybe taking some type of trip. It could be some big trip that you take in the next 6 months that maybe shifts who you are spiritually, maybe some type of spiritual trip to an ashram. And I think that's obviously for a really small group of people, but it could happen that shifts your paradigm, that creates some type of an awakening or something like that. There could also just be like the 12th house is what we do behind the scenes to work on things, whether it just be resting, meditating, relaxing, or just doing work behind the scenes that not a lot of people see and you don't get a lot of credit for and that people just aren't aware of. So this could be doing a lot of work behind the scenes, which will create maybe some significant breakthrough in a field of study. That would be bringing in the 9th house where Uranus is, which is higher learning, higher education and studying in some way. But really, it could even just be, the ending of a cycle of learning in some way. So there's so many different ways that this could play out, but setting new intentions to really take time away to rest and retreat and rejuvenate yourself, I think that would be a really good place to start with this. Just taking time in solitude and quiet to reflect and rest, maybe paying extra close attention to your dreams and things like that. This could be, with the traveling thing, this might be traveling into the astral. It doesn't have to actually be traveling to a different country or something like that. There could be big spiritual breakthroughs in this area of life. So there's a lot of different ways that this could play out, but I'll let you guys kind of wrap your mind around how that might manifest for you. Libra rising and Libra sun. So Libra, this new moon, it's taking place in your 11th house. The 11th house is the place of the groups in which we involve ourselves with, the different organizations that are out there. These could be organizations that are of like-minded topics and interests. This could also be social and humanitarian groups and pursuits that we're involved with. And this is also the house of our friends. These could be friends that actually help us to achieve something out in the world. So people that come into your life to help you in some way, to teach you. And it's the house of gains that help, financial windfalls and gains and things like that. And this is also the house of goals, the dreams that you have for yourself in the future, that you're trying to, create to help you get to a certain point of success or something like that. So this new moon is a time when we can set intentions to move forward in those different areas of life. Now with Uranus in your 8th house, this could potentially be a time when there's been a lot of disruption in the area of joint finances, debts, taxes, inheritance, in just the area of, psychological transformation, traumas and intimacy issues and things like that, where you're just feeling maybe stuck or stagnant in that area of life and you need to break free. And somehow this is tied in and connected with this new moon and the new beginnings that are wanting to be taken place in the house of friends and groups and affiliations, social groups, and all of those types of things. So there could be potentially a lot of disruption taking place in the area of joint finances that somehow drive you forward into the future, or maybe they help to bring you gains, although it's a stressful situation where there's a lot of pressure put on you, but somehow you gain from it in some way. Maybe you have some type of ally that helps you in that area where there's a lot of change and disruption that are taking place. Maybe there's some type of brand new group association coming in the next few months, or affiliation that assists you in stepping more into your own sense of personal power. Because that 8th house, it's wanting to bring you liberation in a sense of power and control dynamics. So whether that be taking your own power back, or maybe making some type of major breakthrough in the ways in which you try to control others in some way. Maybe you try to to control life situations too much or hold on too much to a tight grip in terms of money and the way that you share resources with other people. However that might be playing out for you, it's really hard to say. This could be friends groups that are helping you to break free from past traumas, from past conditioning and psychological issues or mental blockages or, things like that, right? Intimacy issues, friends that help you to have more of an intimate, loving connection. That could be helping. Meeting new friends. This is a very social time, new connections, social groups. If you are looking to connect in that way, this is a good time to set intentions and maybe start taking steps towards doing so, which could potentially help to maybe create some type of breakthrough that's helping you to transform your life in some way, shape, or form. So I see that taking place. Those are the different areas of life that could potentially be affecting you, Libra. Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun. This new moon is hitting you directly on your angles, which are very important areas of your chart, okay? So these are the main areas. It's all about your career, what you do out in the world, your relationships, who you are as a person, and your home life. So these are all areas that are being affected. But specifically, this new moon is bringing new, or there's a potential to seed something new in the area of career. It doesn't have to be something as big as starting a new career or starting a new job. However, it could, shifting something pertaining to your career. It could even be something as little as you're getting a new boss, right? Or you're starting a new relationship, a new chapter of a relationship with a boss or an authority figure of some sort, right? So this is newness in that area of how you're seen out in the world. Now, this is also your status, which can even have something to do with your job title. It can have something to do with your marriage status or, any way that you are known that's a status, right? Like married, divorced, leader, CEO, whatever that might be. So even parent, right? Mother, father. All of those kinds of things are definitely coming to the forefront. There's potential to seed something new. There's a potential for new beginnings in that area of life. Now, what's interesting here is that Uranus has been disrupting and shaking up the area of relationships for you. And it is having a little bit of a challenging and pressure cooking combination here with communication here with this new moon in the area of partnerships, contracts, negotiations. This could be intimate partnerships with your marriage partner or anyone that might be close to you. That could be family, friends, anything like that. So there is a potential here to be shaking something up in that area of life that is somehow tied in with this new moon. So maybe it is that you meet somebody new in your relationships that helps you to break free in this area of life in your career in some way, right? This new change in status could be what's causing the disruptive in relationships in some way. So there might, something might be working at cross purposes here. Maybe you get some new opportunity to start a new job or something like that, and it's somehow impacting your relationships in some way that's a little bit more disruptive, or maybe it's helping to free you from a circumstance that you were once unhappy with, that you needed to be liberated from in some type of way. Now, obviously, this doesn't have to necessarily be your career since it is tied into the house of partnership. This could be something specifically pertaining to a challenge or some type of disruption that's going on with your partner's career or some way, right? Or some type of contract and negotiation with a business partner that's somehow being, disrupted in some way, shape, or form. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you. Because this is tied in with the house of partnerships, it could have something to do with your partner. And with your partners might be feeling stuck or stagnant somehow in their career life, but there might be a new outlet or something where they can move forward in a certain way in their career in the future. That's how I see this playing out specifically for you. Best of luck to you. Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun. This new moon in Leo is taking place in your 9th house of higher education, foreign travel, foreign cultures, foreign affairs. It's also the house of your personal philosophies and belief systems that direct the way that you see the world and like how your reality even plays out, right? So, I guess the ways that I see this taking place are that Potentially maybe because it's squaring Uranus, first of all, which has been causing disruption. It's been causing instability and a lot of change to take place in your house of work, personal health, physical health, your daily routines, and just, you know, mundane work, the way that you see yourself in service out in the world, all of those topics. So potentially there's maybe some type of disruption that's been going on in the workplace per se that is wanting you to, you know, you feel like you want to learn something new. So maybe you start a new course of study or something like that. So you don't have to work in this place of work, or, you know, you want to take on some new field of study so you can have a new beginning with what it is that you're doing out in the world, learning something new. Maybe there is some new travel plans that you have that you want to take place in. So you are causing a disruption in the workplace, right? Because it doesn't really allow for this in some way. Really, I think with a new moon in the 9th house, this is a place for like spiritual expansion, just expansion in general, learning new things, expanding your belief system, shifting your paradigms about the way that you see the world, about your own sense of personal morals and ethics and how you hold yourself, right? And I think that there's a major opportunity to create a breakthrough in this area, which could really change up your physical routines and what you do on the daily, right? It's obviously those types of things can affect your world in so many different ways, and maybe it creates a breakthrough in health, the way that you take care of yourself, the diet that you eat, the nutrition that you have for yourself, the way in which you take care of your body. All of those things could really be shifting because your worldview and your perspectives are expanding and shifting as well. So there's this, you know, natural correlation that's taking place here, which can be kind of disruptive, and it can kind of make you break through. It can free you and liberate you in so many ways, right? Maybe you're feeling so bored with your daily routines and your everyday existence, and you feel like you need more adventure in your life. Maybe you do want to travel or learn something new and broaden your perspectives about the way that you see the world. So you create this shift on your own because you're feeling stale or stagnant in your everyday existence. Maybe you have some type of physical ailment or physical condition or health issue that you've been experiencing, and you learn something new, or maybe you travel and you see a doctor, or maybe something happens and it shifts your beliefs about health and nutrition in general, and you're able to kind of shift yourself out of that in some way and find liberation or some type of breakthrough. So those are just many different possibilities and ways in which I see this taking place. But really setting intentions, if you are desiring to travel, if you are desiring to adventure, learn something new, start a new course of education, maybe write something and publish something, those are all ways in which this could manifest. Also, teaching is a part of this house too. So maybe you start to teach, you start some type of teaching job or something. That could be a possibility as well. Capricorn rising and Capricorn sun. So this Leo new moon is taking place in the 8th house of death and rebirth, transformation. And I think of this house as the house of, it's a place where we can find self-mastery through difficult inner work, through psychological transformation, through therapy, and all of those different kinds of modalities. Or maybe it's more occult types of modalities where we try to understand ourselves through, which is like astrology, right? Different ways of finding your truth through occult means. Things that are a little bit more difficult to understand, that are hidden away from the public, right? The information that's a little bit harder to locate. So there's new opportunities for you to seed seeds of intention to step more into this self-mastery, to step more into this inner transformative experience that lies ahead of you, right? So if you're looking for doing that and finding your authenticity through those different means, I think that this could be a really good opportunity to do that. Now, the 8th house is also a place of intimacy, so where we can work on our intimate connections with other people. And it is making a square to Uranus in Taurus, which is in your 5th house. So if you are having a little bit more of a disruptive time, if things have been a little bit more erratic in the area of dating and romance and sex and all of those types of things, there could potentially be some type of breakthrough that occurs in the next 6 months if you're willing to work through your shadow, if you're willing to work through those deeper parts of yourselves, the conditioning that stems from childhood, the different traumas that you've been through, there is a potential here for new ways of doing that. So if you are looking to make some type of breakthrough in that area of life, I think that that could definitely be a potential here for you in the next month and the next 6 months to come. Now, this is also on a totally different note, the area of joint finances. This could be joint finances, the way that you share money with other people, the money that you receive from outside resources like loans, government, wills, inheritance, those types of things. So there could be a lot of new opportunities for that to come in the future, whether it be paying off debts, maybe applying for a new credit card or something like that. Those are all things that I can see. This could be new debts potentially being incurred maybe through some type of joint financial responsibility that maybe you and your partner, maybe you and an ex-partner have due to your children. Or maybe a new child that's going to be coming in. So it could be some type of disruption in finances related to a child, right? That's just one way that it could play out. This could also potentially be maybe paying off debts or a new financial plan that you might potentially be putting into place, or some type of new sum of money or help that you're getting from an outside resource. And this could all potentially be related to maybe some type of creative project that you were undertaking or that you are still undertaking. So you may be joining finances with another in some way, bringing in money from outside resources, inheriting something, paying off some type of debt. If you also have a specific interest in occult topics like astrology, tarot, human design, witchy types of things, or just anything that is kind of taboo, like I think of things like, what is that? Yoga, tantra, or something that's sexually related. Any types of interesting things like that. Or if you just have an interest in psychology, maybe studying the shadow through Carl Jung's work or something like that, just to give you guys a couple examples. There's so many ways this could play out. But this could be some type of breakthrough that you have, making this a hobby where you really start to step more into your own sense of personal power and heal from things from the past, right? So taking something that could have once been a hobby and using it to heal and transform your life. So those are all things that I see could be a potential with this new moon, from the smallest to the littlest expression of that. Maybe some type of creative breakthrough or transformation in that area of life as well. So that's what I see for you, Capricorn. Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun. So this new moon is going to be taking place right across from your ascendant. If you are an Aquarius rising, it's in your 7th house of partnerships. Now, this doesn't have to be marriage partnerships. However, it is the house of marriage, right? Your first marriage partner. And it is also close partnerships, friendships, really close family members, whatever it might be, business partners. This is also the house of contracts and negotiations and things like that. So there's a lot of new energy taking place in this area of life, whether that be maybe a new chapter you're having with a current partner, or maybe releasing a partner and starting a new way of entering partnerships with other people, or maybe even just entering a new contract or negotiation of some sort. Now, what's really interesting about this dynamic is that it is in a communication that's a little bit more challenging, that could bring stressors or bring some type of pressure in some way related to something in your home and family life. Now, this could be family members, this could be your actual place of living, your residence, your property, your private life in some way. So just a couple different possibilities that I thought of. You're going to have to use your imagination with this one, but maybe a new chapter that's taking place with you and your partner that's could be somehow disrupting things on the home front, or something that's you're breaking free or being liberated somehow with something pertaining to your home, place of living, or with family members that's allowing you the ability to shift and start new beginnings some way with you and your partner. However that's playing out for you. There could actually be a contract or a negotiation that you're entering or you're exiting, who knows, that's related to the home in some way. So maybe it's a new home that you're entering into, which is like some type of, who knows, this new beginning of some sort that really shifts and maybe liberates you from feeling stuck or stagnant in some way. And, or just really changes things, obviously, that could potentially create a little bit of disruption in some way. It could be an opportunity for you to make some type of much needed change with your family members or on the home front, or maybe in your private life in some way that's ultimately going to bring about some type of newness in your business relationships or with your partnership in some way, shape, or form. Maybe some type of new business endeavor or new contract or negotiation that you're entering into with a new business partner or something like that, that actually shifts something and causes some type of disruption with where you're living. Maybe you have to move or something like that to relocate for some type of new business partner, a new contract, or something that you're entering into. This could play out in so many different ways, but those are just a couple different ways that I see this potentially occurring for you. Pisces rising and Pisces sun. So this new moon, Pisces, is taking place in your 6th house. So the 6th house has everything to do with work and your coworkers. And if you are somebody who employs others, it could be your employees, right? And it also has everything to do with your daily routines, daily busyness, daily tasks, and your habits and your patterns and your health and your physical body, the effort that you put in to maintain your physical health, right? So there's a lot of new opportunities during this time period for all of those different topics. So I don't know if you're going to be looking for a new routine, or I'm sorry, a new job, or if you're wanting to maybe start working out and taking better care of yourself. There's a lot of opportunities to do that here. Now, this new moon is squaring. It's making a challenging, stressful, sometimes pressurized communication to Uranus, which is the change agent planet. Can sometimes bring disruptive circumstances and chaotic circumstances in the area of your 3rd house, which is communication, right? And your mind and learning and all of those kinds of things. So I don't know, just a couple different ways that this could potentially play out is maybe a new work opportunity that results from a breakthrough or learning some new type of skill or educational pursuit, right? And there's obviously a lot of effort, a lot of stress that can go into that, but somehow some type of new work opportunity maybe stems from that, or maybe a challenging communication from work causes disruption and chaos that results in you wanting to shift your area of work, or maybe restructuring work in some way. So maybe it was some type of challenging, stressful, disruptive communication with a coworker, or maybe somebody who works for you, and there's some shifts going on in the workplace because of that. Maybe you had some type of, like, something is really on the mind. There's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on your mind because you are not maybe taking as good care of yourself as you would like to, taking care of your physical body, getting, proper exercise in and eating healthy foods. And that pressure and stress is resulting in maybe some new beginnings in terms of new routines that are more healthy, new habits that you can put in place that'll ease up the stress on the mind a little bit, right? So there's that friction that leads to some type of breakthrough in that area of life. Maybe you're feeling super stagnant and disorganized in your everyday environment, and something needs to change. But with that stress and enough effort, you're able to kind of break through and create a healthier routine and a more structured everyday environment that's more conducive to positive growth and movement in a certain area of your life. So those are just a couple different ways that I see this potentially playing out for you. But thank you guys so very much for watching my forecast, and happy new moon in Leo to all of you. And once again, if you did benefit from this content and you enjoyed it, please tap that like button below. Make sure to hit subscribe as well as the little bell icon next to that so you're notified of all the videos that I publish for all of you guys. And as always, I'm so very grateful to be putting these videos out for all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm really excited to see you guys in the next video. Thank you, peace, and namaste to all of you. Have a great week.